Most people die long before their bodies do. They die in the mind, killed by fear, by seriousness, by the rigid expectations of a world that forgot how to breathe. Alan Watts noticed this early in life. And instead of choosing the suffocating path of certainty, he stepped sideways into mystery. He once said, "If you're ready to wake up, you're going to wake up." But most of us are not ready. Not because we don't want to be awake, but because we fear what awakening demands. To loosen the tight grip on who we think we are. To stop treating life like a problem to be solved. To see that everything we run from is made of the same substance that we are. In this video, we are not studying Alan Watts. We're using him as a doorway. A doorway into the deepest questions we pretend not to ask. What is the self? Why does desire always leave us hungry? Why do we feel separate from life, as if we are strangers in our own existence? And what does it truly mean to let go? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, Alan Watts will not just be a philosopher, He'll become a mirror held up to your life, whispering the one question he spent a lifetime exploring. What are you really? Alan Watts begins where all suffering begins, in the strange and invisible prison of identity. You wake up every day wearing a name, a history, a reputation, a story you believe is you. But Watts argued that this personality you protect so fiercely is a social invention, a costume, a mask carved out of expectations. You were told who you are before you ever had a chance to discover it. And so life becomes a long attempt to keep the mask from cracking. You work to become somebody. You chase goals to prove yourself. You compare your life to others like a competition you never agreed to join. Watts saw this clearly. We suffer because we are trying to be someone. We're trying to be the ego. The ego is the great performer. It never rests. It constantly seeks validation, success, applause. But here is the paradox Watts revealed. The more you chase the image of yourself, the further you drift from the truth of yourself. He used the metaphor of a cat chasing its own tail, endlessly spinning, never catching anything. We want happiness, but we pursue pleasure. We want peace, but we pursue control. We want connection, but we pursue attention. And all these pursuits fail because they are driven by the ego, not the self. So Watts invites us to stop, to interrupt the spinning. He tells us, you're not a stranger in this world. You are the world happening. Imagine if that were true. Imagine if the separation was an illusion. Imagine if the self you defend is just a temporary wave on a much deeper ocean. This is the beginning of waking up. Alan Watts loved pointing out the absurdity of control. Humans want to control everything. Our future, our emotions, our image, our destiny. But life, Watts says, is a game that punishes control. Why? Because life is fluid, alive, unpredictable. To try to control, it is like trying to grab water with a clenched fist. The tighter you grip, the faster it escapes. Watts once said, you cannot get wet from the word water. You cannot become free by the idea of freedom. Life is not an idea to manage. It is an experience to surrender to. But surrender sounds weak to us. It sounds like giving up. Watts flips the meaning. Surrender is participation. Control is illusion. Think about the last time you were truly happy. Was it planned? Controlled? Or did it happen unexpectedly, like a breeze passing through an open window? When Watts discovered Zen philosophy, it shook him. Because Zen revealed that the world is not something happening to you. It is something happening with you. The river flows. The wind moves. Thoughts appear. Feelings arise. Life unfolds. And we, instead of flowing, resist. We say, this shouldn't be happening. I should be further by now. It wasn't supposed to go this way. Watts called this the double bind. You try to control life, and then suffer because life doesn't obey you. He invites you to try something different. Let life happen. See what remains when you stop forcing. This is the space where awareness begins. One of the most beautiful ideas Watts ever shared was this. Life is not a journey. It is music. A journey has a destination. Music does not. You don't listen to a song just to get to the end. The value is in the unfolding, the dance, the play. But we treat life like a mission. We rush through moments. We sprint toward milestones. We live for someday, the most dangerous word in the English language. What says? We miss the point the whole way along. We wanted the diploma. We wanted the job. We wanted the status. We wanted the house. We wanted the praise. And while chasing these goals, we forgot the melody. Imagine listening to a song where you're only waiting for the final note. That is how most people live. But what tells us? This, right here, right now, is the point of the whole thing. Not the future, not the outcome, not the achievement. This moment, even this video, not for what it teaches you later, but for how it moves you now. If life is music, the question becomes, are you dancing or are you waiting? If Alan Watts had a central teaching, it is this: let go. But letting go is misunderstood. People think it means abandoning responsibility. It does not. Letting go means dropping resistance, dropping the illusion of control, dropping the idea that life must obey your plans. Letting go means this: you stop swimming against the current and realize you were the river the whole time. Watts uses the metaphor of breathing. You don't control your breath. You don't force it. You allow it, and it happens by itself. Life is the same. Letting go means trusting your nature, trusting the flow, trusting that you are part of something intelligent, something vast, something already moving. But here is the deeper truth. You cannot force yourself to let go. You can only become aware of the places where you're holding on. Awareness dissolves resistance, not effort. What says? You do not let go of the ego. You see through it. And once you see that the ego is a story, that control is an illusion, that identity is a costume, something incredible happens. You relax, you breathe, you melt into the present. You become alive in a way you have not been in years. Watts was fascinated by desire, not because he wanted people to be desireless, but because he wanted them to understand its nature. Desire is not the problem. Attachment to desire is the problem. Suffering begins when we believe, I cannot be complete until I get what I want. But what happens when you finally get what you want? The satisfaction fades. The hunger returns. Another desire appears. The ego never stops eating. Watts said? You can't get enough of what you don't really want. There's a deeper hunger inside us. A hunger not for possessions, achievements, or status, but for connection, for presence, for being part of life, not separate from it. This hunger cannot be fed by chasing. It can only be fed by waking up. Desire is waves on the surface. You're the ocean. If there is a turning point in this whole video, it is here. Watts believed waking up is not an achievement. It is a recognition, a moment where you realize the world is not happening to you. You are happening as the world. Your body, your thoughts, your emotions, all expressions of the same energy that forms mountains, oceans, galaxies. You are nature. You are universe. You are process, not person. And when the ego dissolves, fear dissolves too. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of death. Because the thing that dies is the mask, not the existence behind it. Watts said? You are the eternal something which notices this universe. Not the image, not the identity, not the performance, but the awareness behind it all. This is the awakening, the shift from being a character in the dream to recognizing yourself as the dreamer. Watts had one of the most profound views on death. He said death is not an end. It is a return, a dissolving back into the source. Imagine a wave rising from the ocean. For a moment, it has a shape, a name, a form. Then it falls, not into nothingness, but back into what it always was. A wave is never separate from the ocean, and you have never been separate from existence. Death is not the enemy. It is the completion of a cycle. Watts believed that if you truly understood this, you would stop fearing death and start fearing something else entirely. Not living while you are alive. Life is short, not in time, but in awareness. Most people live 70 years. but are only awake for a few moments. He warned us, we refuse to be ourselves, and thus become living corpses. So he asks you, are you awake? Or are you sleepwalking through your own existence? Watts believed life becomes meaningful when you realize there is no future, there is no past, there is only this moment, and your relationship to it. Meaning does not come from goals. Meaning comes from presence. Ask yourself, are you listening to this video, or is your mind already somewhere else? Are you here now, or are you waiting for life to start later? What tells us? Stop waiting. This is it. Not the practice version, not the rehearsal, not the preparation. This moment, the one you are in right now, is the only place where life ever happens. So what does it mean to live before you die? It means feel deeply, notice fully, let experience move through you without resistance. Drop the endless chase for perfection. Stop performing for the world. Love the fragile, brief, impossible miracle of being alive. Living is not about doing more. It is about being more present in what you already do. We end where what's always takes us. Back to unity. Back to oneness. Back to the truth beneath all illusions. You are not a separate thing in the universe. You are the universe expressing itself as you. You're not the actor. You're the play. You're not the wave. You're the ocean temporarily dancing as a wave. Watts dedicated his life to reminding us of this one truth. You're already what you were searching for. The awakening is not in the future. It is in recognizing the present. The freedom is not in achievement. It is in surrender. And the meaning of life is not something you discover. It is something you live. Right now, breathing, listening, being. This, exactly as it is the miracle. If this journey with Alan Watts stirred something in you, if it opened a question, a doorway, or even the smallest shift in how you see yourself, then let this be the moment we continue walking together. Before you leave, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to Phi so you never miss the conversations that remind you to stay awake while you're alive. Your support isn't just a number. It's the signal that these ideas matter to someone out there. And for that, thank you.